The PS2 was something of a monster in its time. A console that sold over 155 million units, Sony's black box was awash with more top content than a stripper's blouse. Yet, in a tide of titles, standing out was often very difficult, and a fair few would end up sinking beneath the waves. We all have those games that no one else played, but we desperately tried to convince were worth their time. And there were even some that received rave reviews but found no public traction. Well, luckily I possess a job which allows not only my fridge to be overstocked with avocados, but also the ability to share some of these gems with you. Now, obviously, it's a list of 10, there's going to be loads I've missed out, so don't cry over spilled Mountain Dew if they're not on here. Tell me about them in the comments down below, don't chastise me for forgetting them, you beautiful lugs. Oh, and just for the record, Psychonauts, Beyond Good and Evil, and Okami, they're all fantastically underrated games, but they've been plugged to death, so they're not going to be on this list, but you should definitely play them. With this in mind, I'm Jules for WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 most criminally underrated PS2 games of all time, according to me. Number 10, Psyops, The Mindgate Conspiracy. Damn it, Midway, why'd you have to disappear on us? One of the few companies that would develop and publish more left-field ideas than the rest, Psyops was the mecca of that mentality. Playing as a telekinetically powered soldier who can bounce guards off walls, then grab them midair and pop their heads like champagne corks, this game was one hell of a ride. It was testament to the Havoc engine used in the game, which led to so many possible vulgar displays of power, and for the time, it never looked better. I honestly believe that you can't say that you've lived until you've crushed an entire platoon of troops with a giant floating bowling ball. Nice. Number 9, Godhand. Hopefully you've heard of Shinji Mikami, Resident Evil 4 director and bastion of all things ludicrously enjoyable. Well, did you know that he also made the wonderfully silly title Godhand? This game is like an homage to old school brawlers with a comedy brand entirely its own. Any game where a special move is a kick to the plums is getting a thumbs up from me, but it's the combat itself that is so rewarding. Getting more difficult the better you do, the game was punishing, but only when you were ready for it. The acting was over the top, the boss is insane, and it's incredibly dumb, but in that perfect, so dumb, it's really fun kind of way. Number 8, Red Dead Revolver. What? There was a Red Dead before Red Dead Redemption? Yep, and it's one of my favourite games of all time! The reason it isn't treated with as much love as Redemption is clearly that Rockstar view this as their stepchild, what with Capcom having made much of this title before handing it over. Although it was lovely to see Red and company appear as DLC for Redemption. So what does this game have? Well, brilliant presentation, a wicked single player that casts you as tons of different characters in its runtime, outstanding gunplay which is smattered with arcade point scoring silliness, and a multiplayer which contains some of the best and funniest ways to f*** with your mates. Now, if you're going from Redemption to this, then expect it to feel a little strange, but for me and the small pocket who gave this game the love it deserves, this is one of the best arcade shooters in ages with a grit that is perfectly Western. Number 7, Ghostbusters the video game. No, not that Ghostbusters game. No, not that one either. Oh god, the NES one. Fuck that. I'm talking about this, the 2009 game that got so many things right that fans often dub this Ghostbusters 3. With you playing as an entirely new character and joining the original cast, it was literally a Ghostbusters fan's dream come true. Witty writing and endless Easter eggs, thanks to the sets from the movies being lovingly recreated and explorable, were doled out from the get-go, as tight third-person shooting and a fun physics model underpinned your energy-blasting adventures. If you dreamed of being a Ghostbuster growing up or just wanted to hang out with 4 of the finest comic minds as you chart New York's underbelly and blast demons into tiny containment units, this is your game. Number 6, Freedom Fighters. Remember that game, Homefront? Remember how much of a disappointment it was? Well, fear not, because if you wanted a game that did America fighting off foreign invaders done right, then Freedom Fighters already nailed that back in 2003. Literally casting you as a f***ing beefed up version of Mario in that you are a plumber with your brother who is also a plumber, the game tasks you with overcoming the Red Army by rallying the troops and exploring a near-desolated city. What made this game stand out was its use of team commands, giving a light tactical option to the proceedings, and when coupled with Hitman's engine, gunplay was snappy and ragdolls have never been funnier. It's not the best third-person shooter, and I'm in no way saying that it is, but it's a shame that this was overlooked and in many ways overshadowed by its bigger brother, Hitman. Number 5, Gungrave. Yes, more games like this need to exist. An over-the-shoulder shooter that moves at the speed of Devil May Cry. Yes, get this in my eyes, mate. This game is hands down ridiculous, seeing you spin and slow-mo dive through hordes of the undead and their demonic masters, all the while asking you to be as stylish as you can doing it. The entire game was caked in this superb anime aesthetic that really gave everything the perfect amount of character. And while it did get a sequel in 2004, that was basically like a Bud Light compared to the original stiff shot of whiskey, followed by a line of Peruvian party powder. Number 4. The Suffering. A horror-themed third-person shooter with a hell of a lot of art design. The Suffering cast you as Torque, an inmate on death row who's suddenly freed thanks to an onslaught of demons, killing everyone else around him. As the story unravels, you begin to experience not only new horrors, but the tortured soul living within Torque. The game posits a lot of moral choices to the player, each of which affect the ending of the game, but it's really the enemies that are the standout actors in this show of messed up shit. Each of the monsters is themed after a different aspect of prison life and death. Lethal injections cover enemies in needles, ghosts from the past come back as slavers, firing squads are realised in the form of multi-gunned behemoths. It is so rich with lore that it stands up there with Silent Hill in terms of thought going into the enemies. I'm not saying in terms of the gameplay, I'm just saying in terms of the thought, okay? It also helps that the game is a joy to play and actually quite scary in places then, really, doesn't it? Number 3, Dark Chronicle. When this came out, critics lost their damn minds, yet the general populace didn't really seem to care. Apparently burned by the limited gameplay of the PS2 launch title Dark Cloud, it was a shame that so few people played this, as amongst other things, Dark Chronicle was one of the first big-budget RPGs to transition into real-time combat. It had settlement building, crafting, dungeon crawling, lovable characters, the developer of Dragon Quest's visual style all over it, and a campaign that went on for days. Whether it was down to the combat mechanics being ahead of their time or just the sheer vastness of everything you could do, meaning that nobody actually did any of it, Dark Chronicle is still one of the best RPGs money can buy, from a studio that has still yet to receive some much-deserved recognition in the West. Number 2, Blood Omen 2. The Legacy of Kain games contain some of the best presented narratives in all of gaming. Yet the character of Kain is usually reconciled to being a Machiavellian schemer who is always just one step ahead of the revenge-driven Raziel. For the Blood Omen games though, we flash back to his time building up to such a mindset, a far younger Kain playing like the perfect vampiric fever dream. His abilities range from leaping entire city blocks in one bound to telepathically willing pints of blood through the air to his lips, even turning into a faint mist just to extract the hearts of his enemies in one vicious grab. The world of Legacy of Kain essentially plays second fiddle to the gaming's most prominent neckbiter, but the gameplay here was just so much damn fun, it didn't really matter. And number 1, Second Sight. We began this list with some psychic brain-scrambling fun, so let's end with one as well. Second Sight is unbelievably good and comes from the devs who made Time Splitters so goddamn long ago. The plot of this game is so beautiful it makes me want to punch kids, detailing a man who has amnesia and is plagued by what he thinks are flashbacks to a failed military operation. Or is it? Maybe. I'm not going to spoil the twist for you. All you need to know is that this game gives you a plethora of fun psychic powers to mess around with and dabbles in shooting and stealth along the way. The story is emotional, it looks fantastic, and the ending will leave you reeling. I love this game. I wish there was a sequel, which would be called Third Sight? Whatever, it's a gem and I implore you to play it. And that's our list. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. Then why not swing by whatculture.com for more news and articles like this every goddamn day. As always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon.